278 978, or you can call the studio on 01733 602 133. And of course we're on Facebook Live, so you can send us a message through Facebook or ask us a question, and that seems to be the most popular medium at the moment. So good evening, Hasib, how are you?
I'm very well, Shaz. How about yourself? You okay? You keeping well?
I'm very well, thank you very much for asking. And it's been a very busy week for me. How's it been for you?
It's been a good week. Celebrated Eid al-Adha. Just had a feast with the family. Enjoyed the company. And it's good to have a break from work as well. Catch up with the family. Sometimes you haven't seen some of your family members for a bit of time. And have a good old natter with them.
That's very good, but you should make time to see your family more often than just seeing them during Eid.
Extended family.
Extended family.
Not immediate family.
Okay.
Otherwise, I don't think I'll be sitting at home.
That's a reasonably good comeback. I will let you off, and seeing that you're filling in today for our guest, Russell Scott, who unfortunately can't be with us because of a double booking, and he had a choir show, and that had to take preference, because if he wasn't at the choir show, lots of people would have been very disappointed because they'd paid for a ticket to see him present. And Scott has sent his apology, and he will be with us in a forthcoming radio interview without doubt. So Hasib, you and I will be entertaining our wonderful listeners today. And my first question for you is, how long have you been practicing as an accountant?
I've been practicing as an accountant roughly about 6 years. As you're well aware, I've started work with yourself, and I was working under yourself from there. Then opened my own business roughly about 4 years ago, and let's say that was a bit of a change for myself.
Okay, fantastic. And having worked with lots of different business owners, what do you see as some of the challenges that they face?
Owners, I think the biggest challenge businesses find for themselves is having a vision where they want the business to be. I think sometimes people's minds are scrambled. They want to do too many things at once, aim at too many people. They don't have a direction, and it scrambles their mind. And I don't think they have some simple aims and objectives where they want the business to be. And by having too many aims and objectives, sometimes they're not realistic. It gets difficult on there. Also, time management is pretty difficult as well for people. And I think people need to manage their time effectively, and also have a clear vision of where they want the business to be.
Okay, so if somebody's starting off, you've mentioned quite a few things just now. Where should they start?
I think first of all, where they should start is first and foremost, what are they going in the business for? Of course, they're going there for the business to make money, but what other aims do they have? Do they enjoy that business? Do they have a clear mindset? Having a look at the customers, targeted customers, and aiming, and also having a clear strategy is very important. When they start off in a business, sometimes people aim at too many different customers. They need to have a clear mind of who the customers are, and what do they want the business to do? Do they want the business to be aim at certain customers, or and also make it very clear which clientele or which part of the market they do not want to aim the business at, and make that clear with themselves. And I think how they can do that is write down the targets for the business for the first year or the first 6 months, and gradually each time have a look back every month, see if they are reaching the targets or not.
When someone sets up a new business, I guess the challenge for them is they think everybody is their ideal customer, and they want to sign everybody up. Now, you and I know that that just isn't possible, because we can't cater for everybody. So how would you go about in assisting them to find their ideal customer or client?
I think first and foremost is ask them what is their ideal customer, who do they want to aim at, and then find a way to market them. And also, Shaz, a question I'd like to ask you: if a customer, the business has found a customer they want to aim at, and they want to target them, regarding marketing, how would they do that? What sort of products can they use?
That's a very good question, Hasib. And being an accountant, what would I know about marketing? But I'll happily share with you some of my experiences. So you're absolutely right. So the first thing is to have an ideal client or customer avatar. So that's to understand who your clients are. So look at their demographics, their age, where are they based, where do they live, what are their education levels, what hobbies do they have children, what's their income. So that's looking at their demographics. And then you will look at their psychographics. That is the way that they think about things, how they come to make key decisions, which type of programs do they watch, who are they influenced by, who do they look up to, which newspaper or newspapers do they read particular magazines or articles or journals, and then to have an understanding of that particular client, both in terms of their mindset and who they are. Once you know that, or you've got some clarity over that, and that of course can change over time, so it's not something which you determine at a particular given point, and in 12 months time or in 2 or 3 or 4 years time that can't change. That can and usually does change. But once you have your ideal client avatar, you then go about trying to find out where they are. So if they read particular magazines, you need to show up there. Now you can show up in 2 different forms. The first one is to write an article or to share some information with them through the editor, and the second is to have an advert in there. If they read particular newspapers, again you can show up in the newspapers. If they like playing golf, then you need to show up at golf clubs or show up at their golf club. So it's looking at who they are and where they show up. So if you were targeting people from the age of say 25 to 35, you'll be better off targeting them and looking for them on social media. So you can advertise through LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. They're more likely to show up there than they are in other places. So market to them where they are going to be anyway. And then of course you've got all the other forms of marketing, whether you use direct marketing through mail or email marketing, which is very popular and very annoying, and you need a very big list in order to get some good results. And also you need to have really good copy to be able to persuade them with your ideas and solutions. Alongside that, you've got the traditional forms of radio, newspapers and TV advertising, which is very expensive. Something which is popular and has been popular for a while is holding seminars and webinars. They seem to be very, very popular. So and there's so many other advertising mediums which one can use. So it's first of all having clarity on your ideal client, then it's having clarity on the marketing medium, platform, channel, and of course YouTube is again very popular. All you need is an iPhone or a Samsung or any phone really, and you can record videos. So the second thing is the platform, and the third and very important issue is having the right message. Because if you know your target market, you're marketing to them on a platform where they kind of hang out in inverted commas, but the message isn't right, then you won't be able to attract them. So having very targeted messaging in terms of their key issues, their challenges, their problems, and talking to them in that particular language, and then giving them some solutions so that you can resonate and connect with them. So they think in their mind, this person gets us, he knows how we work, he knows how we think, he knows our challenges, and from there building a relationship with them.
Thank you for that. Also, regarding businesses with a low budget, they're a startup, is the short on finances. What's the most effective way to market a business for a business that just started up, short on finance?
Two popular mediums. One is networking, and it can be slow and painful, as I think a friend of mine once put it. You have to kiss a lot of frogs before you find a prince with networking. So it's going to local clubs and associations like the Chamber of Commerce, local business clubs. There's lots of networking clubs like BNI, 4N, and you can join for a small fee, and as long as you show up regularly, you can find business, but it's a slow burn. So that seems to work well. The other medium is word of mouth, which is always powerful, and no matter which type of business you speak to, small, medium or large, they'll usually say that most of their customers or clients come through word of mouth. So it's speaking to people, friends, family members, neighbors, associates, ex-work colleagues, sharing your key message with them, and getting the word out and get them to refer business to you based on their relationship with you. So they can say, I haven't worked with this person in terms of in their new business, but I have worked with them, or I have known them for X number of years. They are good, they know what they're talking about, give them a try.
Really good advice there that you're giving there, Shaz. But regarding a lot of businesses, they have a lot of setbacks, and sometimes that doesn't motivate them that demotivates them, puts them down, thinking, what should I do next? How do they, when they are knocked back or something isn't going right, what advice would you give a business what to do?
Perseverance is very important. If everything that I did for the first time worked out, I would have been very successful within the first 2 or 3 years of my business, and life from there onwards would have perhaps to some extent been boring, I guess, because you don't have further goals and ambitions, because whatever you do, you end up achieving it for the first time. So if you were to speak to anybody who is uber successful, or to any athlete or anybody else who's achieved success in some shape, way, form, act or manner, they will tell you that they have put in hundreds of hours, if not thousands of hours, tens of thousands of hours, in order to achieve their objective. And you have setbacks on a daily basis. Now those aren't failures, they're just lessons. So you do something, it doesn't work, then you try a different avenue and a different avenue and a different avenue, and if you keep trying, you'll get there. I think it was the founder of IBM, Tom Watson, who said, if you want to succeed, double your failure rate. So just keep trying and keep making mistakes. That's part of the process. In the end, if you persevere, you will achieve your objective.
Really sound advice there, perseverance. Well, regarding, there's a few other things that many businesses do think, and they're thinking is getting out their comfort zone. Some just like the stable environment. Okay, I got a set amount of income, it pays the bills, and it's easy for myself from there. But what about like yourself? When you started off, reaching for the top, and many people thinking that's just not something I can't achieve. It's not a realistic goal. I can't do this. What advice would you give there? Because that's something that you did, and I think you did that very effectively, and I think you proved many people wrong.
Well, I don't know about proving people wrong, Hasi, because I was never competing with anybody or anybody's expectations, and the top is very, very far away. It's like climbing Everest. So I'm probably at the first or second step or hurdle, so to speak. But what I do find is people generally limit themselves. They limit themselves to their past experiences, or they limit themselves to depending on what other people have said to them in the past or saying to them at the moment, and they also limit themselves based on the stories they tell themselves in their own mind, and those limitations then hold them back. So I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, I don't have the right education, I don't have enough education, I don't have the money, I don't have the resources, I don't have the contacts, so on and so forth. So it's important to not have any limitations in your mind, and that's easier said than done. And it was a chap called Lester Levinson, and I can't remember his book now, but in there he shared a fantastic insight and a quote where he said, "We are all unlimited beings, limited only by the concept of limitation we hold in our minds." So depending on how much you limit yourself in your own mind will depend on how much progress or lack of progress you make. And comfort zone is one of those things where it's nice and cozy. So things are working reasonably well, you're happy, the amount of effort that you're putting into your business or your life, you're perhaps getting a reasonable result, and there's no need for you to do anything extra. Whereas once you have ambition, once you have aspiration, and once you want to achieve something, then you have to get outside your comfort zone in order to become somebody who you aren't. And once you become somebody who you aren't, then you're going to achieve something which you're not achieving at the moment. So it's always good to test your comfort zone, and I try and do that more often than not. And I've done that in the past in different forms. So in terms of standing up and speaking, it wasn't a skill which came to me naturally. I was and still am an introvert, believe it or not, but I learned the skill of speaking. And then you speak to 5 people, 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000. After a while you just keep pushing yourself until you get to a point where that is no longer a limitation. And I'm a firm believer that we must all do that in order to grow and achieve more. And you see that in all walks of life, where people are always pushing the boundaries in order to achieve that next goal. And it's very important that we become comfortable in being uncomfortable.
Also, numbers plays an important part in businesses. Many businesses are, if they think that it's paying the bills, got something in the bank, must be doing well. But what I've come across is many businesses owners, when you look at the numbers in details, they realize, really, am I making that much profit? And it's a surprise. And when you go through the numbers with them, they are very surprised that the profit that they're making is a lot lower than they assumed. And just business owners just making a bit of fun with the numbers, and how can they deal with numbers on a monthly basis. How can I have a look at the numbers on a monthly basis, if the business is doing well, if the staff is also working with the staff to improve the turnover for your business and bottom line, the profit. What advice would you give there? Because numbers are important. They are boring, but they are an important part of a business.
You're absolutely right. And there was a study done by the Institute of Chartered Accountants in England and Wales, the ICAW, and they said something like, if airlines relied on the same data as business owners do, then we would have a crash during every single flight, because businesses get data, they get too little data too late. And that was a landmark study for accountants especially, to impress upon them that businesses should have key data at the press of a button. And lots of businesses, mainly small I'd say, and some medium businesses, only look at their accounts perhaps once in a year. Some may look at the accounts or their key numbers once in 6 months or a quarter, but it's important to have a good handle on your numbers on a regular basis. By a regular basis, I mean on a daily basis, and if daily is too much, at least on a weekly basis, so that those your key performance indicators. So looking at your turnover, looking at your costs, looking at your margins, number of customers, average value of customer, the lifetime value of a customer, how many referrals do you get, What are your costs? How much money are you spending on marketing? What's the return on your investment? How much are you paying your employees or your team members? And what's the return on investment on your employees? How much capital have you employed? What's the return on capital? So having those key numbers that help you drive your business forward is very, very important. And I'm sure you and our listeners have heard this numerous times. It's a bit cliche, but it really is all about the numbers.
Very sound advice there, Shaz.
I'll ask you a few questions now, Hasib, because I think our viewers and our listeners are always very keen to hear from you. In fact,
that's nice of them.
During the week, I get at least one person saying that we'd like to hear more from Hasib. So I'm hoping in the next week or in the coming weeks, you'll be able to take my seat and host more of the show, and I'll take your role and ask a few questions, if that's okay with you.
That's fine.
If it's not okay with you, it's gonna have to be okay now, because we've said it on live radio. That's the best thing of being live. If you've just joined us, Assalamu alaikum and welcome. You're listening to Salaam Radio on 106.2 FM and Inspire FM on 105.1 FM. I'm Shaz Nawaz and I'm joined here by Mohammed Hasib, and you're listening to the Empower Hour show. The purpose of our show is to inspire, motivate and empower you to achieve more in your life. And as always, we would love for you to get involved. You can email us on studio@salamradio.co.uk, or you can text and WhatsApp us on 077 45 278 978. That's 077 45 278 978. Or you can send us a message through Facebook, and we do have a few messages which in fact we have a few questions, and we will address those either before the break or definitely straight after the break. And before we go towards the break, Hasib, what you were talking about, plans, objectives, vision, mission, although you may not have used those particular words. What's your plan over the next 5 years?
My plan is, inshallah, to grow my business and finding ways how to grow my business. And as you said, that's something I've been looking into, and looking at my clients and what sort of clients I would like or would like to work with. Also, another thing is just outside work as well. I think you learn a lot outside work, as I don't know, for example, helping a worthy cause. And that is one of my aims, to help more worthy causes outside work, and how I can give back to the community. Because I think it's important to give back to the community. You can pass on what you have learned to different parts of the community, and something that they can learn. And I think you feel a bit of satisfaction for yourself as well, because you're helping the community. And that's something I think everyone, people listening as well, we always think that we've got nothing to offer. Everyone has got something to offer the community, and that's something I'm definitely looking forward to doing a lot more in the future. And also, I've got some regarding the business. I've got some plans going forward, and is to start my business. Look at the ideas of business, how to improve them, and working in different ways to how I was working before, and that's something I like to do in the future.
Fantastic. We have a number of questions, and I'll go to our first question on WhatsApp, and it's pretty detailed, so I'll keep it short for you, Hasib, and then both you and I can answer that. And in fact, before I ask that question, we are heading towards a break, so it'll probably be better if we address the question after the break. And what would you have a key message you'd like to share, Hasib, before we go towards the break?
The message that you mentioned is perseverance. Keep trying new things, trial and error, and don't give up. And that if you keep persevering, it'll help you, and have some patience as well.
That's a perfect message. Thank you very much, viewers and listeners, for joining us. We're about to go towards a very short break, and after the break we will address the questions on WhatsApp and on Facebook, and Hasib and I will share some more insights with you. Please do join us after the break. Assalamu alaikum.
Stay tuned to Salaam Radio after this short ad break.
Sadly, millions of orphans living in the poorest countries lack the necessary support for a healthy childhood. These children have to endure lives of hardship without the basic necessities that would help them to grow, to learn, to live. Let's show them that we do care. Let's brighten up their future. Call 0161 225 0225 or visit humanappeal.org.uk.
Third world and developing countries are home to some of the most vulnerable children on the planet. Malnutrition, severe lack of medical aid and access to clean water are just some of the horrific challenges faced by orphans across Africa and Asia. Children of Adam, a Peterborough charity, need your help to bring aid to these orphans for just £25 a month. To sponsor an orphan or assist with other projects, please call 0300 321 0032 or visit www.childrenofadam.net.
City Homes Estate Agents are your #1 independent family-owned agency in Peterborough. We offer a range of services including buying, selling, letting, mortgages and conveyancing. Why not call us today and find out for yourself why our customers return time and time again. We have a track record for achieving some of the highest prices in and around the area for our clients. With over 10 years of operating in the area, we are the experts in this market. Put us to the test today by calling 01733 348 677 and quote discount code RADIO for our exclusive rates for this promotion. City Homes, bringing people together for over 10 years.
मेरा नाम आयशा है और मेरा ताल्लुक कश्मीर ऑर्फन्स रिलीफ ट्रस्ट मीरपुर से है। कोर्ट एजुकेशनल कम्प्लेक्स जरीकस मेरे ख्वाबों की जन्नत, जहां बेहतरीन देखभाल, आला तालीम, बेपनाह प्यार और मेहरबान शफकत हम सबको हासिल है। अब फेज 2 में 500 बच्चों और बच्चियों के लिए रिहायशगाहें बन रही हैं और इसके लिए 9 करोड़ रुपए चाहिए। मुझे यकीन है आप मायूस नहीं करेंगे।
कश्मीर ऑर्फन्स रिलीफ ट्रस्ट 0300 123 774 court.org.uk.
Feel like some great tasting chicken tonight? Great meal deals, wraps, burgers and sides. We've got it all at Chicken Palace. Call and collect at 302 Lincoln Road on 01733 702 447 or 8 Park Road on 01733 343750. Chicken Palace, open 11 a.m. till late.
بسم الله. قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم الدعاء مخ الإبادة. The supplication is the essence of worship.
First met you, I felt that God answered my call. There was that one place I always thought about, and I just wanted to be there with you. The place that no eye has ever seen, the place that no heart has ever perceived.
This is Salaam Radio, Peterborough's Muslim community radio. Broadcasting on 106.2 FM and online.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to the Power Hour. You're listening to Salaam Radio on 106.2 FM and Inspire FM on 105.1 FM. And I'm Shaz Nawaz, and I'm joined here with Mohammed Hasib, and we're both sharing some of our insights because unfortunately our guest was unable to join us today. So please do keep asking us questions. We have a number of questions on WhatsApp and Facebook, and the question I was about to ask you, Hasib, before we went towards the break was that businesses that don't evolve and don't move over time will ultimately fail. And the person asking the question gives the example of Tesco's philosophy of building huge supermarkets out of town, and then those supermarkets, or some of them, perhaps didn't work because buyer behavior and habits changed, and alongside that they weren't able to perhaps control their overheads, and that caused some of those large chains not to work as well as anticipated. And does it surprise you and me, being accountants, that looking at the accounts of small businesses, how some of them keep going?
It does surprise me, but sometimes the old methods are the best methods for some of them, because many of the businesses, as you said, it's not easy for the same businesses 10 years ago doing the way they used to be doing business 10 years ago, simply because the times have changed, as a listener has mentioned. And some have opened extra hours for that. They try to buy the cheapest stock for themselves on there and work even more harder than they used to. And sometimes people just don't work in a smart way. They like working the long hours and spending the time in the business. And sometimes it does surprise me, because business haven't evolved. If you just look locally, some businesses work the same way that they used to work 10 years ago. It's worked for some businesses, it works. Unfortunately, for some businesses, it doesn't. And also, some businesses out there are saturated. There's too many same type of businesses, and sometimes you do think to yourself, how did they make a profit? But they're still there. And some business they must be doing something right. As you said, they might be selling different products to different parts of the community. Also, demographics have changed in the area, so there's more products for different communities. And for that reason, if different people from different communities have come along, they purchase that product, and they're aiming at them, and that's their customer base. And sometimes people just work the long hours to pay the bills. And you do think to yourself, are they really making a profit? Some business locally, and why haven't they changed? But some people, it suits the way they are working and they're getting by. But it's, at the end of the day, what are their aims, what are their objectives of their businesses are different to other businesses.
Yeah, thank you for that, Hasib. I think the person asking the question makes a very good point, because sometimes when I do look at how certain businesses are performing and how they think about their business, I am sometimes shocked how they actually manage to wake up in the morning, hopefully brush their teeth, wash their face, have some breakfast, get changed and get to work, because that to some extent seems like a chore amongst many other things. And I think you're right, some of it is perhaps pot luck, so that they work hard, they put in a lot of hours into their business, and it kind of works to some extent. And some of them perhaps have this mindset of, if it's not broken, why fix it? The challenge is they don't know how much they're underperforming by, and they'll never know that, because unless they change the way that they think, they change the way that they behave, only then will they get different results. It's the old adage, the old saying, if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always gotten. And for many people the answer is not a lot. So it is quite true that sometimes it is alarming, to say the least, how some businesses are surviving. Moving on to our second question, where our questioner says that in his opinion, I've done very well in accounting, but unfortunately accounting is a boring business that does not hit the headlines. And what are my thoughts about maybe pushing the boat and going into a new business venture? And our questioner is absolutely right. accounting is as boring as it gets, and in fact it's so boring that I have to hang around with actuaries and my friend Imtiaz Ali usually, just to make myself look good, because apparently actuaries are more boring than accountants. I bet that's going to start a good conversation on Salaam Sports this Sunday, and Imtiaz is probably thinking he has a sitting duck, because obviously I won't be there, so he'll have an opportunity to get his own back on me. I have tried different things, as you know, Hasib. So alongside accounting, or accountancy, I have a number of other businesses which keep me entertained. I have a speaking business. I also have a children's day nursery. I get involved in property from time to time, which keeps me occupied. And
just a bit.
Yeah, just a bit. And when I don't do any of those things, I'm involved a bit in the community, just filling in the gaps. And I do sometimes think about a new business venture, but accountancy's served me well. It's looked after me, and our listeners absolutely right, and our questioner's absolutely right. It can be seen as a boring business, but there's lots of good things you can do. It's just about how you perceive your business to be. So most people out there think accountancy is all about number crunching. It's dull, boring, grey, filling in tax returns and making balance sheets balance. But it's a whole lot more than that, because you can look at your numbers and say, okay, if I tweak this particular number here, like my gross profit margin, what's going to happen? And if my gross profit margin goes up by 0.5%, what will that do to my turnover, and more so to my profit? Because you need to increase your turnover and reduce your expenses in order to improve that margin in the first place. And that then starts an interesting conversation, because then you're thinking, how do I actually improve my margins? What do I do? And then there's so many things you can do. Then there's managing your costs, managing your marketing, managing how efficient your team are, managing how efficient your processes are, managing how efficient you are and how productive you are. So accountancy can be interesting, and it does lead to all these avenues which I've just mentioned, and it depends on the particular accountant in terms of how they want to run their business. They can be that typical boring bean counter, or they can be like a business growth strategist, which is much more interesting. How do you find the boring world of accountancy, Hasib?
I think you mentioned quite a few important points of that. Is how you look at the numbers. Accountancy is a very important part for business, simply because accountants tell you where you are in your business. It helps you understand your business, what is good for you, what isn't. For example, there might be a marketing strategy that you used, and it's, how do you know it's worked for you? By looking at the numbers and measuring the numbers. What hasn't worked for you? You look at the numbers again. It is an important tool, and important tool for everyone to use. And also, it's how you can budget things. If there's a budget, you know what you can spend, and budget is a very important part for business, because sometimes people overspend, and that's when they get into financial difficulties. So accountancy has its pros and cons, but it's a very important tool, and a business, and every business must have. And I also just like to ask you, Chaz, just because you mentioned quite a few businesses that you have, time management. I know you can talk here for a number of hours, but briefly, if you can just, how important is time management, and how can we effectively use time management?
Well, time management is very important, and although it's semantics, I always refer to it as self-management, because you and I and anybody else can't manage time. We can only manage how well we work, and it's an evergreen topic. People are always struggling with managing their own time and their diaries and their priorities. So I guess you're looking for 3 or 4 or 5 tips which I can share with our listeners and viewers. The first is social media seems to be a very big time cruncher and a time muncher. So stay away from that. Only use that perhaps in the evenings. Unfortunately, what I find during my conversations is when people wake up in the morning, the first thing they do before they do anything else is go into Facebook or other forms of social media and see what's going on, just in case from the time they went to bed to the time they woke up, say let's say 12 a.m. is when they go to bed, and they wake up at 6. In those 6 hours, if something groundbreaking happening and they missed out on it, like one of their friends did something and they should know, had a meal to eat, or perhaps digested the meal in some shape, way or form, and that they need to know about that. Or the last thing they do when they go to bed is check their phone and check their social media profiles, and it just takes up too much time. And if you were to count the amount of hours, it's horrendous. There's so much research out there. If you Google it, you'll see people are spending 40-50 hours a week. Some people are anyway on social media, and that's just ridiculous in my opinion. Social media is a good tool, it should be used, but limit how you use it. The second one again is linked to technology, is email. Checking your email every 5 minutes isn't going to change anything, and if you check your emails 2 or 3 times a day, you'll be more productive, because you'll be able to use your mind and your energy on getting things done. And especially so for people who are more productive at a particular time in the day. So some people will say, I'm not a morning person, I prefer working in the afternoons. That kind of indicates they're more productive in the afternoon. So I'd say check your emails in the morning, try and avoid using email in the afternoon, and then once you've finished your most important work, then go back to your emails, respond to emails, make your phone calls, do what needs doing, and then go back to your work. If you're a morning person, vice versa. So in the morning, do your important and urgent tasks. And so that's very important. Also, handling tasks, learning to be able to delegate some of your tasks. I know we all think nobody can do the job as well as I can, but rest assured there are people who are more capable than me and you, Hasib, who can do the job better than we can. So if you delegate, that's very good. If you prioritize your work, so look at 2 or 3 big tasks that need doing for the day, get them done first. Eat the big frog, as Brian Tracy calls it. So that big task that you're kind of trying to put off, just tackle that head on, get it out the way. Once you've got that, you'll be happy, you'll be relieved, less stress in your mind, and then you can just carry on looking at the smaller tasks. And take a break, go out for a walk, have a cup of coffee, talk to your colleagues. Breaks usually help you to re-energize yourself, then when you go back you'll be more productive. So those are 3 or 4 or 5.
You're listening to Salaam Radio, and it's now time for
This Azan is sponsored by Sovereign Accountants. We offer support to help maximise your business potential and profits. Call us on 01733 567 111. Sovereign Accountants, where your success is our aim.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa Allah. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله
حي على الفلاح
الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم رب هذه الدعوة التامة والصلاة القائمة آت محمدا الوسيلة والفضيلة وابعثه مقاما محمودا الذي وعدته. اللهم آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. اللهم بك نحيا وبك نموت وإليك المصير. رضينا بالله ربا وبالإسلام دينا وبمحمد صلى الله عليه وسلم نبيا ورسولا.
This is Salaam Radio, Peterborough's.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome back after the azan. You're listening to Empower Hour on Salaam Radio on 106.2 FM and on Inspire FM on 105.1 FM. I'm Shaz Nawaz and I'm here with my co-host Mohammed Hasib. Hasib, you've asked about time management, so I've shared 3 or 4 tips there, maybe even 5. And if our viewers and listeners are interested in more tips, perhaps they can message us, and then I would be more than happy to share a tip during every show just to add a bit more value if that's what they would like. We have a question from Imtiaz Ali who says psychographics is an awesome word, and I couldn't agree more. And his question is, can you talk about the role of big data in helping small businesses understand their customer? So big data, generally speaking, was something which was used by large corporates and businesses with a lot of cash flow or profits or money to invest in business intelligence, research, scientists. And nowadays, with the way information has evolved, it is available to small businesses. So data is readily available on Google, it's available on Kissmetrics, Clear Story Data, and many other platforms. And of course, buyer behavior, habits, traits to some extent have changed. So it's important to understand how your customers are doing certain things in certain ways at certain times. And Amazon seems to be very good at this, and I think we used this example 2 or 3 weeks ago. So using big data is very important. It's available out there, and I think small businesses should use it all the time, and it's very affordable. In fact, sometimes it's free because people post a lot of useful information on Google, which if you have the time to research, you can use that data in understanding your customer, getting into their mind, seeing how they think, how they behave, how they do certain things, how they come to make certain decisions, and also to find out things like which particular platforms are popular. So I did some research recently, and I found out that in America, Facebook is the #1 medium of social media. The second most popular is Snapchat. So that kind of tells me from the research I've read in the past that when something is popular in America, within 18 months to 3 years, it kind of heads towards Europe. So I set up a Snapchat account, believe it or not, a few days ago. So I'm still getting my head around it.
How are you finding it?
I'm having some fun. I think I've done one video, and I'll have to do some also. Again, getting out of your comfort zone and using Snapchat is something which I've done, and I would strongly recommend other people do the same, not in terms of just using Snapchat, but getting outside their comfort zone. So I hope I've answered that question, although it's been rather succinct. Sufyan has asked that biggest business deals are done on the golf course. What's my opinion on that? I think he's right. A lot of business is done on the golf course because you have quite a bit of time to kill, and if you're abysmal at playing golf like I am, then you're probably there for half a day or longer. So you've got a lot to talk about, and if you've got nothing to talk about, then you'll have a potential client or a customer who you've ring-fenced for the best part of half a day. So at some point during that conversation, not only can you build a good relationship and understanding with them, you can then start talking about business. And people are usually chilled out, relaxed when they're on a golf course or outside their working environment, and when they have their defenses down, you can connect better with them, get to understand them, get to know them, their family, their personal values, their aspirations, their dreams, how they work, what their challenges are, and then you can work with them to help them find solutions based on what you're looking to sell to them or what you would like them to buy, because we never sell, we always allow people to buy. So I hope that answers your question, Sufyan. If you're thinking of taking me on the golf course, don't, please, because we'll probably be there for the entire day and it's going to be excruciatingly painful for you, because like one of our earlier questioners observed, I'm an accountant and I am extremely boring, so don't make that mistake. Another question we've had on WhatsApp, which is just coming in fact, is about assets stripping. So large corporations usually buying companies, selling off the assets and making lots of money from them and just keeping one or two of the juicy sources of income, and our opinion on that. And my opinion is businesses will just work in certain ways. They've made a particular investment, therefore they are looking for the best return. I mean, I'm not a big fan of asset stripping, especially when people are going to lose their livelihood, they're going to lose their jobs, and a particular industry will be affected. But it's done in business, and sometimes business can be ruthless. I'm not saying that's the right thing, but when a large corporation or a PLC makes an investment, they are looking for a return on their investment, so they will do what they feel is best. Do they always do what's right? No, they don't, but that's just the way business works, I'm afraid. Another question we have, in fact it's an observation, is that the only bright thing in my office is or are my jackets, and that's absolutely true, because I thought I've got to somehow hide my boring behavior. So what do? I started wearing loud and crazy jackets, as you know, Haseeb. So I've got red, blue, green, orange.
It's like a rainbow, yeah.
I'm kind of working towards pink, but my wife keeps stopping me. But you never know, one of these days, if I see a good post on social media just after I've woken up, I might just do that. And
or mix of two colours.
A mix of two. Well, you never. Don't tempt me, Haseeb, because it's going to be your fault. We've immensely enjoyed presenting this show. I hope you've had an insight or a better insight into how Haseeb and I work. We are sorry that Russell Scott couldn't be here today, because I have no doubt that would have been a fantastic interview. Russell will be with us in a forthcoming interview. Thank you to everybody who's tuned in, listened to the radio show, or tuned in through Facebook, and thank you very much for your questions. We always appreciate those. Please do join us next week when we have Steve Pipe, who is the world's most highly recommended accountant, and he'll be sharing his insights. Assalamu alaikum.